Ready? Go! Set. Go! What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another episode of I'm New to This, the podcast. This is episode 3, and this week we'll be talking about RSV. I put another poll up to choose between RSV, I think it was daycare pros and cons, and then my pregnancy story. And I got a couple of votes and voted for RSV, so we're going to talk about this week. First, I want to do like a weekly recap. Not much happened. Did speech therapy. He hadn't been in speech in I think like 2 weeks because of the weather last week and then holidays and stuff. But we're working on receptive language, and that's basically where to be able to like point out one thing out of like 5. So if I put a couple of toys out and I say go get the red ball, he needs to be able to pick out the red ball or go get the red ball. He also needs to like be able to go get things from another room without me having to point to it or show him or take him. So I need to be able to say maybe go get your burp cloth out your room, or go get your socks, wear your shoes, stuff like that. And so we've been working hard on that part. The beginning of speech therapy was basically like expressive language, just saying more than one word at a time, 2-word sentences, red balls, things like that. And he did great with that. So now the goal is receptive language. Yeah. So that was this week. Other than that, it's been cold here in North Carolina. Finally, I like the cold, and so it's starting to set in. I think it's actually supposed to warm back up next week or something like that. So it's bipolar here. Regular old week for us. No swim this weekend. Oh, Ayden was sick. He was sick. He had a little virus, and so we had to do eye drops and ear drops and medicine, which was a lot. But he takes it like a champ. Like, I can say that about Ayden, is that he will take his medication. At first, it's a little, not with like mouth medication, but like the eye drops and the ear drops was a little iffy because that's not a normal thing for him. So like the first 2 times we had to kind of fight him to do it. But once he realized that, what it was and that it wasn't going to kill him, then he actually just lay down and let you do it. Eye ointment, I was just putting it like on the inside of his eyes instead of like, the options were to put it like under his eyelid, which it's not going to happen, top or bottom. And then the other option was to put it across his eyelashes and kind of let it melt in. But that didn't really, I didn't think that was working. So I started putting it in the corners of his eyes, just in case anybody's watching this and has a toddler and winds up with pink eye or a virus where like the cold is coming out through their eyes, because that happens with kids a lot. That's a tip to try to do. Put it in like a glob in like the corners of their eyes, and it'll just he will rub it a little bit, but it'll get in that way. But then also it would like melt into his eye that way, and that seemed to like not bother him as much. Drops, he just lays down and lets us put them in there. I count out loud, or both of us, we actually just count out loud. Like, you have to do 5 drops per ear because he has the tubes. So yeah, you just count how many drops out loud, and then he's like, all done. He does his little sign language, and we're good to go. So I didn't do swim because of him being sick. So we've really had like a chill Saturday. I actually was sick Friday and Saturday also, probably fighting off whatever he had. And so Friday I was down. Saturday I tried to get him out the house, get both of us out the house, get some fresh air. That's it. So on to this week's topic. Like I said, we're going to be talking about RSV. It is Respiratory Syncytial Virus. I practiced that second word like 16 times before I started this podcast because that is hard to say. Respiratory Syncytial Virus. And so I did some research because I didn't want to come on here without the facts. The facts that I found were on cdc.gov. I tend to find that, the best site for the facts about these viruses and stuff like that. But it's basically a respiratory virus. Clearly, it attacks the lungs like many viruses do, but the symptoms kind of run just like a common cold. It's more commonly known in children under 2 and older people over 60, which both it could be very, very detrimental to their health. For 60 and up people, there's a vaccine that they have out now, and you've probably seen RSV commercials now because it's becoming more prevalent, and they do have the vaccine now. And so I've been seeing a lot of RSV commercials, especially, and sometimes I wonder if they've been out there and I'm only seeing them now because I have a child that has had RSV twice, or it's just coming up now. I don't know. But I've been seeing them a lot, and that's who is geared towards children. And they always say, like, don't kiss children on the face, because that's how you easily get it, just by like kissing a child that has it on the face. You don't even have to get like drool and stuff on you, just kissing them. And then older people, because the older you get, lung issues and all that kind of stuff, it's harder for your body to heal from viruses like this. So it is RSV season, which is why it was one of the topics that I want to talk about, because the cold months is always like the time when everybody gets sick, and it's like worse. Just look at like COVID and colds, and that's mainly because in the cold everybody's rushing. You got on more clothes, you don't really want to wash your hands like you're supposed to. You got on gloves, that's another excuse not to wash your hands. You're like rushing in and out, you're touching stuff, you're not washing your hands. And then you have a new baby, people are kissing on your baby. Daycare is hard because all the kids are sick and they're like touching each other, and it's hard to keep like kids from touching each other. Like even 4 or 5 year olds, it's hard to keep them from like caring that a kid is sick and being like, oh, I'm not gonna touch that baby because they've got boogies or whatever. You can't. So it's kind of hard to keep your kids not sick. But RSV is something that you really have to like look out for. Breathing issues occur, and then sometimes by the time you really really notice it, it's not too late, but it's gotten a little bit further than it should have gotten. So basically causes mild cold-like symptoms, like I said before: sneezing, coughing, fever can occur. Ayden actually did not have a fever either time. Wheezing, and a decrease in appetite. Runny nose, if I didn't say that already. But severe RSV can cause COPD, hospitalization, asthma, bronchiolitis, and pneumonia. Those are like the main things that it can cause if you don't like catch it early or don't stay on top of it. The virus can last up to a week or two for like the main symptoms. So like whatever the worst symptoms are, it can last up to a week or two, but then you can have a lingering cough for like 4 weeks or more. I know the first time Ayden had RSV, he definitely had a cough for a very long time. Well, I'll get to his story after this. But let me finish giving you guys the facts. Symptoms I've already been through. With infants, though, the difference in symptoms is it can just be like, kids have runny noses all the time, so you don't see a runny nose and you think RSV, but they can be very irritable. So if your child is more fussy and you can't really tell, like it's not gas or it's not like teething or something like that, it might be RSV. Decrease in appetite, decrease in activity, that was a sign for us. And then also breathing issues, so like wheezing. And I'll actually put a video here of a child's chest, the way it looks when they have RSV. Ayden wasn't necessarily wheezing, but when I looked at his chest the first time we had RSV, I can see it like caving in. So I'll put the video up here. I always point to the wrong side. Put the video up here so you can see the way a child's chest looks when they have RSV and it's leading to breathing issues. Commonly with RSV, if you go to the doctor early enough, they'll tell you to basically just wait it out. Like if the child is old enough, give them like medicine for fever. If they have a fever, give them cough and cold medicine. We were giving Ayden cough and mucus, Highlands cough and mucus medicine, just to like ease the symptoms until they went away. Other than that, like keep giving them fluids. Make sure they keep drinking. Even if they're not eating, make sure they're still drinking water, drinking light juices, drinking milk, like anything, like whatever they'll drink, just make sure they're keeping fluids in their body. As far as I know, RSV is contagious for like the first 3 to 8 days. I think symptoms show up in like the second or third, fourth day after contracting it. And so so I think about 2 weeks. And this time we didn't test for RSV, we just kept him home. Like him being sick last week, we didn't test for RSV, because even if they said he had RSV with the eye drops and the eardrops, he would have had to stay home anyway. So We didn't do the test for it. I was like, well, I'll just wait to see if he has like breathing issues or whatever, because at the end of the day, you can't do anything about it. Like, you can just give him medicine, and that's what we were doing. So unless it just got worse, I would have just taken him to emergency again. But yeah, it's, I'm not gonna lie, it's scary. Like, out of all the things we've gone through with Ayden, which is not like a whole bunch, but like all the things we've been through, like that was the scariest, because I'm just like, I have asthma, and I know what it feels like for me as an adult. Like, if I have like a breathing issue out of the blue, I'm just like, what is going on? But to see like literally him run and then like sit down and lay down in the middle of the floor, I was like, something not right. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. But he has a cold, but he never had a fever, so it's weird, because I'm used to kids getting sick and having a fever and be like, okay, is something really going on? Other than that, it's just like a cold. But Ayden, like, he's been sick plenty of times, and I think he's had a fever once. And that one time, he had a fever in his torso. It wasn't his face. It was just his torso, not arms, not legs, just like his midsection. And I look, this little boy has been testing my parenting knowledge, is all I have to say. More about RSV itself. Prevention, of course, is the same as any other cold. I mentioned the vaccines before, but vaccines are mostly only for people 60 and up. And you can get it when you're pregnant. I think it said between 32 and 36 weeks pregnant, to prevent you getting it, because in between 2 years old and 60 up, I actually think I had RSV. Not this go round, but the last time Ayden had RSV, I think I had it first. And so, yeah, you can still get it. It's just easier in that middle age range, because your lungs are bigger, and as an adult, you can like blow your nose when you feel it getting stuffy. You can like cough up mucus and spit it out, or however you do that. You can take the medication. You know how to take care of yourself, and your lungs are kind of strong. If you have lung issues, then they might consider you to take the vaccine. Like, they might offer it to you or something like that. But other than that, as adults, we can, and teenagers, stuff like that, we can take care of ourselves when we have a cold. That is like a way of preventing it. And then, like I said, just regular cold stuff. Stay home when you're sick. Wash your hands. Don't be kissing on babies. Normal, don't get a cold stuff. Normal stuff when you're sick. Just stay home, which can be hard, which will actually is a topic to talk about, is just like being able to stay home, or stay home at all as a parent is hard with work and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about when Ayden had RSV the first time. So first time Ayden had RSV, it was actually, we went to the Chinese Lantern Festival. If you're here in North Carolina, you know about that. And I'm not sure if it goes other places, but if you've heard about it, you heard about it. We went out there with my mom friend, Sonia, and he was like real chill. He was actually like, he wanted to get out the stroller. It was cold. First off, it was cold. And he wanted to get out the stroller and walk and all this kind of stuff. He seemed fine. And they say that the cold isn't what makes your child sick in the first place anyway. It's like the body temperature going up and down. But anyway, he was sick before that. But we got home that night, and actually we had taken him to urgent care earlier in the week, and they said he was fine. No RSV, no nothing. I'm not sure if he had it at that time yet, or if it wasn't detectable yet, or what. But we got home from Chinese Lantern Festival, and he was just like tired. And Ayden is usually, he's not on 10 all the time, but he's a 1-2-year-old. He's like active, and he was just chill. And I'm just like, I mean, this is nice, but I was like, maybe he's tired from the day. Maybe he's tired from the day, from being out and being cold and whatever. So I had noticed like a day or so before that he would be playing and then just like lay down in the middle of the floor. And I'd be like, what's going on? I just thought, okay, well, all the coughing, whatever. I just kept brushing the stuff off. So that night he woke up around 3 o'clock in the morning, and Ayden usually sleeps through the night. He likes to sleep. He gonna sleep. If he get up in the middle of the night, it's very rare that he like stays up. Usually he just like come to our room or wherever we're at and go right on back to sleep. This time he was like super irritable and whiny, and I was like, oh Lord, what's going on? And he would not go back to sleep. Like he would doze off and like wake back up like not frantic, but just like, nah, I can't sleep, I can't sleep, I can't sleep. And so finally I lifted his shirt up and looked at his chest, and I could see what I, posted to show you guys in the video. His chest was like right up under his ribs, was like caving in when he would breathe in, which means basically that he was stomach breathing, is what they called him when we took him to the hospital. Yeah, his stomach was, he was pulling air through his stomach and lungs because his stomach was full of like mucus and stuff, of which we learned later. But I saw that happening. I Googled um, breathing issues in toddlers. And you know how it will tell you like causes of whatever, RSV popped up. And I was like, oh man, maybe he has RSV. So I went on YouTube and typed in what it looks like when a child has RSV breathing issues. And the video popped up. And I was like, okay, this is exactly what it looks like. So I woke Darrell up and I was like, let's take Ayden to emergency. Or I asked him if we should. And he was like, yeah. So we took him to emergency room, got us a room quick because there was nobody in there that night, which is crazy to me also. But it was nobody there. And, we get a room. They automatically like swab him for RSV. And I had told them like we had went to urgent care, and they told him he was fine and just had like a virus or whatever. They gave him, because he had thrown up, they had given him something for vomiting when we was in urgent care. We stayed there for a while. And so in the emergency room, he was like, nope. I like the doctor. He was like very like nice and positive. So he was like, nope, I'm pretty sure it's RSV. It looks like RSV. So we're going to swab him. So they swabbed him for RSV. Before the test results even came back, they hooked him up to oxygen, the piece that goes into your nose. Ayden was not liking that at all. And they started suctioning in his nose. And that was like the first time I had seen a suction machine that was not like a nasal aspirator at in the hospital, because I had never spent time in a hospital with a kid, let alone at all, outside of like giving birth. So they had this like tube thing, and they suction this. They would put saline in his nose, saline drops in his nose, and then suction all the suction out. And then like as he coughed, they would suction it out his mouth too. And so we stayed there for a few hours. And this was the week before Christmas, the weekend before Christmas, or a little, yeah, no, it was the weekend before Christmas, because we were supposed to do our Christmas dinner. And yeah, so we waited there for a few hours, and after a while they were saying that the oxygen that they were giving him was not, oxygen levels weren't going up, basically because all the mucus he had in his like lungs and all of it. So they admitted us to Wakeman Children's Hospital. Took Ayden on an ambulance. This was my first time riding an ambulance. We took him on an ambulance to Wakeman Children's Hospital, and we spent 4 days there. They were actually going to let us go on day 3, but I didn't feel comfortable going home yet. He just didn't seem good enough. And like day 4, there was a big difference. Like he woke up day 4, he was fine. Whole time we were at the hospital, they was just like, make sure he's like drinking, try to get him to drink. They would bring us milk, apple juice, whatever we wanted, just to make sure he drank, because if not, they would have to put an IV in. And I'm like, I didn't want that to happen, because I can't imagine a 2-year-old with an IV in his arm. You know, someone that has to like stay there and trying to keep him from like ripping it out. He got used to the oxygen in his nose because they had it taped to his face anyway. So he didn't really have a choice but to get used to that, as long as they didn't move it or anything like that. But they had to move it to suction his nose, because like it was so much mucus in him that it would just like clog up the tube that was in his nose just from it running out. It was I have never experienced anything like this before. So we get to the hospital. They admit him into a room. Um, Darrell goes to the house and he gets all the things we need to like stay for a few days and all that stuff. And then it was basically just like keeping him on oxygen, pumping him with oxygen. And then like what they would do was like take it down a little bit to see if his oxygen levels would stay up. And then they would take it down a little bit more. And so they just gradually would take him off of the oxygen all the while at the same time waking him up every couple hours to suction his nose and suction his mouth. So it was a time. I can honestly say that I wasn't necessarily scared. Like I wouldn't say scared, but I was definitely worried because it's like I don't want my child to have breathing issues. Like I don't want to have him deal with asthma for the rest of his life because of RSV. If he got asthma, honest, like me, it'll be something different. But if it's like a cold, I feel like I would like blame myself. But he's fine. And so like I was just worried about like the future for him. Scared. Yeah, I wouldn't say I was necessarily scared. I knew he would be fine. I was like, all right, we're gonna go to the hospital. We're gonna do what we gotta do, and we're gonna go home in a couple of days. Day 3, they was like, well, he can go home. You just gotta kind of wait out the rest, keep his nose and stuff cleared. While I was in the hospital, I ordered not one but 2 nasal aspirators just to make sure they work, and I still have them. I use them all the time. I ordered. They actually sent us home with the little saline bottles, but I also bought the saline spray for his nose, so we could do that at home too, and just like make sure that we kept his nose clear and suctioned out, and actually have a nebulizer at home, so I would put the saline in there, and while he slept I would hold the mask by his face so he can get that and break up some of the mucus and stuff too. But it was just, I had never gone through anything like that before. Like I said, I've never, well, no, my aunt told me that I had pneumonia when I was a baby. And that's another thing that RSV can lead to. So I might have had RSV first and it led to pneumonia. But other than that, I've never been there to like see anything like this happen. It was all new to me. And I was just like amazed at, like, I learned a lot. Like I said, it's just really just a matter of keeping them hydrated, keeping all the mucus out. Um, and other than that, keeping them comfortable until it passes and they get all clear, because it's just a common cold. You just want to make sure it doesn't lead to anything worse. So then, we came home and, I told you I bought the things and I just made sure that, he stayed clear. And now, like, every time he gets a cold, I'm like, nope. Like, come on, let's spray your nose. And he lets me do it. Like, he might cry a little bit and fight me a little bit, but he will literally, like, lean in and let me spray the saline up his nose. Easy kid to deal with, really. But yeah, now I make sure I'm on top of that, because RSV, like, it's a virus, so you can get it, but at the same time, it's nothing you can do about it. There's no RSV medication, there's no antibiotic or anything like that for it. So the same way you just give your child cough and mucus medicine when they have a cold and stuff, and make sure that they're not drowning in mucus. That's really all you can do. One time, Ayden had RSV. Actually, a couple weeks ago, I was sick, like to the point where now that I think about it, I felt exactly the way, and I'm pretty sure I had RSV now. I didn't go to the doctor. Full of mucus and just like coughing up mucus, and my nose was just like ridiculously stuffed and like couldn't breathe. And like I think I actually did like my own asthma treatment with my actual albuterol medicine, because I was just terrible. But yeah, and then he had it, so I mean, it's my child. I kiss my child on the face, so he probably got it from me. But this time around, I made sure to suction, saline, Vicks on the chest and feet and back, and coughing mucus Highlands medication. And I can put that here. Oh, I got it right that time. I can put that here, here, here. You can see what medication I use. For me, that's the one that has worked best with Ayden. We've tried Zarbee's, that their medicine, but he doesn't like it. It's too sweet, and he doesn't like super sweet stuff, especially not a lot of it. Zarbee's is thick. Like, I know it's like honey based and stuff, but it is thick, and it stains because it's yellow. And like I said, he doesn't like it, and I'm not gonna force him. When there's other options out there, I'm not gonna force him to take that. Also tried a different, the Mama's Bliss, but that's hard to find. So we stuck in Highlands, which I think works really good. I give him that. I usually buy the 2-pack, the daytime and the nighttime, which is around $20, of course. To give him that, and like the next day I can like hear the mucus breaking up. So that's a good one to use if anybody's interested. It's actually also for 2 and up. A lot of these medications are 4 and up, but this one is 2 and up. Mama's Bliss is 9 months or something like that. I'll have to look that up. But the Highlands is age 2 and up, so that's good because a lot of the time before age 2 there's no medication to give your child. They just got to be sick, which is another thing that I hated when he was like younger, because he started daycare at 9 months and um he was getting sick, and I was just like, well, what can we do? And they're like, oh, suction his nose. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, we can do that. Oh, I also, last time he had RSV, I made him a little um hot toddy, quote unquote, concoction. He can't have tea, which will help because the caffeine in it. I was not gonna give him tea. He is 2, so he can't have liquor. So what I did was I got one of his blue sippy cups, one of the ones from Walmart, and I'll see if I can find a picture and put it up here also. I filled it almost to the top with water, and then I put like a tablespoon of honey, tablespoon of lemon juice, not fresh lemon, like lemon juice concentrate, just so it's not like, I feel like real lemons are more acidic. So put that in there, shook it up. If you need to, add a teaspoon of sugar just so it can be a little lemonade-ish. But he killed it. And the next day, I can hear the mucus breaking up. So, they always say honey and lemon. They're always telling you honey lemon tea, honey lemon ginger, whatever. Like, they always put those stuff in medications. They put it in drinks when you need something for a cold. And I said, why not try it with Ayden? And I did, and it worked. And so I would give him a cup of that a day while he had RSV or until that passed, and it worked. So I'm just here trying to figure out how to help my baby get past, because when he's sick, he's already clingy and affectionate, but when he's sick, it's even worse. And if you had a sick child, they just want to sit with a parent, and like he just wants to sit with one of us all the time. And so that's hard because you can't do anything else. You can't make dinner, you can't wash clothes, you can't go to sleep, you can't watch TV because he's right there. So that's another tip, and I can put that recipe up here for you also if you're interested in trying it out. Essentially, that's our RSV story. Like, the first time whipped me into shape. Now every time he gets sick, I'm like, nope, let's start the stuff. Let's get this mucus out, because even if it's RSV virus, it's really essentially nothing we can do about it, and we just gotta get past it. Instead of being in the hospital again, which thank God we have insurance and Medicaid, so it kind of covered most of it. But instead of sitting in the hospital for another 4 days, having to take off work, or Darrell works from home, so he had to like bring his computer to the hospital and have good internet or use his hotspot. It's just a lot. At the end of the day, you're going to do what you have to do for your child. If your child needs to be in the hospital, you're going to do that, and you're going to be out of work for it or whatever. But and luckily I have a job that cares. They're very understanding, especially with stuff like that. But you don't want to see your child sick, especially like I think that like just him having the oxygen pieces in his nose, and like having to like hold him down, because what the nurse would do was like wrap him kind of like swaddling, that way he didn't like snatch the suction thing from her or try to like take the oxygen thing out of his nose, because they would have to take it out in order to suction. And then he would cry a lot, and so he would cough up mucus, and she would have to like try to suction the mucus before he would swallow it. It was just hard to watch that. Like when I do it, it's different because I have patience with him, and I'm like, okay, come on, let's do your nose. And I give him time to like get a little upset and then bring himself together and let me do it. And then even when I suction, I do the same thing. I'm like, okay, let's do your nose. And it sings, and it has lights on it, so he kind of warms up to it. Sometimes I have to like hold him down, but me holding my child down versus like watching somebody else do it is a lot easier. And then, like I said, I'm very sensitive to Ayden crying. So like if somebody else is doing something, even when his dad does stuff and he cries, I'm just like, I can't step in, or I have to like walk away because it's just hard. It's just hard for me. That's like my sensitive spot for him. So like sometimes when he's crying and he's being ridiculous, I have to like laugh in order to not feel away. But that's my soft spot for my son. So if you have any questions about RSV, like I said, I got all I got all my facts off of the cdc.gov. If you have more questions about what I went through, or Wake Med Children's Hospital was really great. They have the Ronald McDonald House in there, and most of the time that's how we ate. The only thing I didn't like is that they don't feed the parents when you're there with children, and I feel like they should because like the child can't be there by themselves, you know. So like we have to be there, and like if I don't want to leave my child side, then somebody has to go get us food. And like if we ain't had the money to get food, then what we're gonna do? Just be in there starving? So the Ronald McDonald House is there, and they don't have like meals, but they did have a lot of frozen meals. They had like cup of noodles. They had a lot of snacks and stuff like that. They had juices and sodas, and you can get as much as you wanted. So yeah, that helped out. That helped out a lot. And the nurses there were nice. I actually saw a girl that I went to high school with that happened to be a nurse one of the nights that Ayden was there. So that was nice too to see a familiar face. But it was just a long 4 days. I don't wish RSV to that magnitude on anybody. I just, especially during this season, if your child has a cold, just watch them and make sure you stay on top of like medicine every 4 hours. If that's your thing, try the hot toddy for children recipe if you're into that. Make sure your suctioning's not, or like at least I might not suction all the time, but I'll definitely like make sure we do the saline in his nose, because the saline will break it up if it's thick in there. And that's the other thing, is that the mucus that he had when he had RSV the first time was so thick it would not come out. She would do the saline drops now, not even like the spray, the drops in his nose and suction, and it will not come out at first. So if you catch it early before it gets all thick and gross, when you do the saline, it'll at least run, and you can like wipe it if you're not into suctioning. And I just have the nasal aspirators, the automatic ones, because I'm not using a nose Frida. Yeah, those are my tips for RSV as far as what I've gone through with it. If you have any more tips, um, supposedly he's 2 now, and so it's less likely that he'll get RSV, but he probably will again because daycare. But um, if you have any tips that you tried, DM me or leave a comment under the video, leave a comment on social media. Let me know how you dealt with RSV. I actually know that Ayden's aunt said that her son had RSV too, and it was crazy. So it's not an easy thing to deal with, because it does take your kids down, because it's like breathing issues. Like once it gets there, it's like your child is not the same. They're like Ayden literally will like play or like run from his room to the living room and just lay down on the floor. Just like lay down. I was just like, maybe I've never seen him this tired before. Me being like positive, I guess, or just not thinking that it could be as bad as it was, but we caught it and he's fine now. So like I said, if you have questions or tips, or you want to share your RSV story from your child or your childhood, or somebody please share, because I like to hear um other versions of other people's stories from RSV. Like I was reading up on it, and they were talking about it can even get to the point where a kid has to be intubated, and I was like, oh no, we not we're not even gonna read that. We're not gonna put that in the air. Okay, I know it can happen, but we're not even gonna like imagine that, because I can't even imagine them doing that to my child. Nope, I'm not going to. So that's it for this episode. Actually, ran a little bit longer than I anticipated, but I wanted to give y'all the facts. I wanted to make sure that I like went online and wrote down the information that I felt like was important. And so that's why I'm like, if you want to, I can Google any questions you have. This week, I want to shout out all the subscribers. I want to shout out everybody that's been sharing the podcast for me, everybody that's voted in the polls and all that things. I appreciate you guys. Continue to tell a friend, let people know. I'm hoping to start interviewing people for the podcast. Moms, mom-to-bees, wannabe parents, dads, dad-to-bees, wannabe dads, people that don't even want kids. I am here to get all the perspectives. So if you're interested, message me and let me know, and I will put you on the list of few people that I already have to interview, and we can set it up. And I'll just interview it, and I'll put it out when I get a chance. Hit us up on social media, TikTok, Instagram. It's all at Ayden Terrell, AYDENTAREL. Like, follow, subscribe, comment, share, tell a friend, all the great stuff. And I think that's it. So until next week, you guys, peace. Bye.